And good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the NASDAQ 100 for Thursday, January the 20th, 2022. What a glorious day. Followed analysis to a T, slid through levels that would cause acceleration. We got that acceleration. It was a picture perfect day. Let's dive in and see what took place. The NASDAQ did go down in Globex again overnight and reached just below the 15,000 mark. And then rallied back up off of that, wasn't going to hold down below it, and rallied up. And what that ended up being was, is if you realize, it's like, now I have now moved we're in a minute third wave. Let me start with that. And within that, I had been trying to count this as these sub-minute waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5. And that would then begin to suggest that that was the completion point. But I begun to discuss it last night in terms of, well, what if it's just the first wave, wave 1 of 3? And that seems to be what is actually now occurring. Whether it's the extended wave or not, it is actually falling into place as only 1 of 3. The rally yesterday was wave 2 of 3. Then we began to come off in 5 waves, and we did it again, and this time got back below 15,000, coming in at 14,993, almost 94. And it did complete 5 waves down. But if we're in that 3 of 3 move, that is the section that will in and of itself subdivide. And when you get to that third wave within it, all hell breaks loose. So wave 1 of 3 right there. ABC up, and it was a powerful rally this morning. They just came in and bought it, pushed it straight back up above 15,300. Now, I want you to get that number, put it right there in front of you. And that was wave 2 of 3 of 3. Okay, so wave 2 of the third of the third. And then all hell broke loose. We broke below the 50, we started to accelerate. We broke below the 8, we started to accelerate. We started to head down. We broke support, we continued to accelerate. We broke 15,000, we continued to accelerate. We broke 14,946, we continued to accelerate. We broke 14,824, and we continued to accelerate. And right now, while it's slowing down because it's after hours, we're continuing to slide. Now, if you remember yesterday, and I was discussing, if we break this level, look, it's a black hole. And again, it's happening here. It's a black hole. Look how far we'd have to go before we start to see other areas that might hold the market up. We don't have any. We have to go back pretty far before we start. And this is an hourly chart, folks. We'd have to go back pretty far before we start to see, several weeks, to where we're going to start pulling possible support. So what could possibly be next? Additional decline. Now we're in that 3 of 3, and now I just want to open this up a little bit. My computer will listen to me today. It's not going to. Do I get it now? Yes, good. Nope. Come on, computer, come on. Nope, it's not going to. So I am just going to do it a little differently. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. And then come back down to the hourly chart so that we can see how this acceleration is actually coming through. Yeah, that worked. Come on. A little bit too much, but you can see that acceleration. That's not going to work. I got to have it a little bit cleaner. Stay with me 1 second, folks. Let's just see that. Yeah, good. So you can see when it started to break. These are 30-minute bars now, but it's down, 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 down. That's the acceleration. That's what I'm talking about. It's not like it comes down and it goes back up and it comes down and it goes back up. This is acceleration to the downside, and it's consistent and it gets intense, and it gets more intense as we break these levels. So when we got down into this black hole, you can see there was nothing. There was nothing that was going to stop it until we got to this support. And it got there, bounced a little bit, but then it was like, nope, we're not done. And they start again. They break below that support. And now, simply because we're at the end of the day, I think we're beginning to hold here, and maybe they're going to just finish off and let it rest right here. What can come next is additional downside, because I don't think this third wave is finished. So what we get now it's not going to be as strong. The pullbacks, now the volatility has increased. So again, I have to remind us, including myself, that the volatility is going to really present itself to both sides. So when a buyer steps in after a strong sell, well, don't forget that strong selling, and then all those contracts, when they're done, there's a vacuum. Nobody else is really stepping in to sell it. So if a buyer should step in who needs to buy a bunch of contracts, boom, it races up. Because remember, these are algorithms and they're likely market orders, and they're just going to where the orders are sitting. They need to fill. That's the computer's game. Fill the order. So it goes to where it can get filled. And right now, I would expect, after a solid turn that we had, where the NASDAQ was up over 100. It was up over 150 when it was sitting up here. And it ends up down 247. That's quite a turn. The Dow was up 400 at one point today. It's closing down 313. That's the cash. The future's down 324. The S&P was up 50. And now it's down 57. These are huge turns. But in an Elliott perspective, that's exactly what we're looking for. So that's what I also want to just kind of emphasize here for us today. When I speak about a 3 of 3, this is what I'm looking for. So when I don't get it, it doesn't mean that it's not a third, but it's not the one that I'm really looking for. To start breaking this thing down, start breaking the backs of whatever wants to step in and buy it, whatever wants to kind of push itself back in. It steps in front of it and goes no, and just smacks. When this was all green today, what ends up? The banks. But Goldman Sachs was up $7, but they had to hang on. They could not go red. Citigroup could not go red. Coin, simply because of Bitcoin, because there's a correlation, Coinbase. So Bitcoin ends up doing well today. And that's a good sign for cryptos. But the market absolutely got its head handed to it. Now, whether this follows through again tomorrow, we're going to have to wait until tomorrow. But don't forget that as we go into Globex, which will start in an hour and a half, hour and 50 minutes, we will be dealing with the reaction from the Asian markets and then against their own markets. Then we have Europe against what their reaction is going to be to our trading, and then their own reaction to the market coming in. So we can start to slide now. Just remember, our next support is 14,501. And I was talking yesterday saying, oh, that's a 500-point drop. Is it possible? And I was, yes. Look what we did today. We went from being up to being down almost an equal amount. And so in total, it was a 600-point move. 500. Okay, well, you can do the math. So I have to take 50. So 550 point move. There was our 500 point move. And so is it possible? Yes. We witnessed it today. Is it going to happen every day? No. But when your charts and your Elliott are lining it up, it's very possible. And again, we're dropping into the next black hole. Where can we start to find support? I need to go out probably to the 4-hour or even the daily chart to start to get points that are going to help us here. Look at, I'm going back to October on my 4-hour chart. Go to the left. What do we got? Nothing until we're back into October. That's how far to the left we have to go to find price supports. And so we're passing through most of it. Where do we have it? Well, that one's gone. So that's our next one. 14,586. Then we're down to the previous fourth wave. Wow. And that's 14,501 down to 14,410. I have been discussing this level for quite some time. Fibonacci support lies there, where wave 3 would be equal to wave 1 is right there. So we have a lot of points to come in. And if that's where value is, let's not forget, the markets will go to value. If they're going to drift in this black hole, they need to find value because they need to fill their orders. So it could slide very quickly until we're getting down into this area. Will it do it in a straight shot? Well, this one certainly did. So I would expect we might get a little bit more play if we continue to slide. But again, we've got overnight. And then by the time we come in tomorrow, it could have already been down here and now heading back. So bear all of that in mind. But it was a glorious trading day. I have to tell you, it was a glorious trading day. And you just had to block out the noise. Stay focused on the price action. Stay focused on your support level. Stay focused on the moving averages. And then just trade what was happening in front of you. When they started to kick in on the sell side, you may have took a short, got out, plus 200, plus 300, plus 400, waited for it to rally up a little bit, but you were constantly just looking for shorts. We had no indication until we reached that next support that we would get any kind of a bounce. Now we're back into that type of a situation. Does that mean that we won't get bounces in between? Absolutely not. But I don't suspect that we're going to get a major turn in between. It would have to be derived with great news. I don't see anything coming. Okay, so what can we expect for tomorrow? I would think for tomorrow we continue lower, but pullbacks notwithstanding, again, with the increase in the volatility, and I don't have it on this chart. Let me go over here. Let's just see how they take this out. I want to look at the VIX, see how they took it out. The VIX up 174. Actually, not even that much compared to the turn and the severity of the drop. But hey, stranger things. So if volatility continues to kick up, which it may, then we're going to get that in both directions. Okay, so pullbacks will be really kind of quick. So, and why I say that is, like, when you're trading, don't hang on. When you see something starting to turn, use a stop, take profit, book things, wait for your next turn, wait for your next trade. Now, where can we look to find support? Unfortunately, I would think that, well, yes, 14,700, 14,600, 14,500. Those are the levels. And that's just the round number. So that may be 14,750, 14,700 or 25, et cetera, all the way down, just because they're the big number. That's where I would look for the round number. But I'm looking for this now to come down to 14,501, as I originally said, looking for this third wave to likely finish here. Well, now it's ending up that it's just going to be the internal third. So if I can get 1, 2, 3, we get a little 4, we get a 5, and the 5 brings us down to here, and that finishes this sub-minute wave 3, get another 4 and another 5, and that's just going to finish the minute wave 3 if this count is to hold. If this is the count. But I'm taking my clues and my answers are going to be given to me by the NASDAQ itself. So that's why I continue to follow it, and I give the probabilities and I look at what could possibly happen. Upside, can it get strong? It can. A turn can be strong from here. Again, volatility will be at work. Now, tomorrow, Friday, weekly expiration. We slid through strike prices this afternoon like they didn't exist. It was melted butter and it was a hot knife and just kind of sliced it right apart. When we're looking at Amazon, slid through several strikes. When we're looking at Google, slid through several strikes. Tesla ended up on the day, but still below 1,000. It slid through 1050, 1040, 1035, 1030, all the way down. It's sliding through strikes. Microsoft was up $7 or $8. That slides through strikes on the way back down. That forces and causes adjustments to positions, particularly as you're moving to when these options will be expiring. So those weekly options will be in play, and there'll be a lot of pushing and pulling. So keep that in mind. And now that we have this outside activity pushing the markets themselves, it just adds an additional layer. So I am expecting more downside. We now understand we can continue to accelerate. We should be looking for a small fourth wave in here at some point, and then an additional 5 to finish this sub-minute 3, then another 4 and a 5 to finish the minute 3. We got a lot more to go as far as downside is. And that brings back something that I've already discussed, and that we may end up down here. The selling can get intense. And now you're seeing what I meant. This is what I mean. It's like, we can walk in every day with the best estimate of what we think is going to happen. And the market tosses us a stale cookie and says, no, we're going in this direction. And they push it. So these are now back in play. That this minute 3 can end up down here. Again, people are going to say, really? That's an awful lot of points to come off. It's like, it's 1,200 points. Can it do it? It sure can when it did a 500-point turn today. Why wouldn't it? Why couldn't it? When the pressure starts mounting, and now whoever you are, you may be sitting with a long position, whether you're a fund manager, you're a portfolio manager, or you're just a large trader. You're starting to get pressured if you're long. How much more can you take before you bail? And then that puts more sell pressure on the market. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Please trade smart, trade carefully, use the moving averages, use the Fibonacci, use the Elliott. They change during the day. Keep your focus, block out the noise so your mindset is trading price action on what's in front of you. If the volatility continues and you get stuck, get out of a position. Don't let it kill you. If the volatility remains strong, which I suspect that it will, you can make that back on that very next trade. But by holding on to a loss, you're being pulled out of your own focus points. So cut the trade, get back in, ride the direction. Maybe it's going to be the same position, but you have to be able to do it with a clear mind. And making back that money is when the volatility is high is not difficult, but you have to keep your mindset strong. All right, I'm going to leave it right there. Have a great trading day tomorrow. Today was really great. I'm hoping that tomorrow will be the same. Our next update will be on Sunday.